Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Fernando?
Welcome to the show, guys.
Today we have a question brought to us from none other than Fernando himself. He came to me and said, hey, one of the things I read all the time, I'm just kind of over it, is guy says, I have an LC2i with Accu or an amplifier or a DSP, any one of the products that Audio Control makes, why would I need an Epicenter? And the answer to that is, well, because they do two totally different things. And today we're going to show you the difference between those two things. What is Accu? What does it do? How does it work? And how is it different from what an Epicenter is going to do to the signal? We're going to show it to you visually. By the end of this, you should be like, dang, I need or I don't need one of these products in order to achieve my goal. Let's get to it. For this demonstration, we're using a few tools. We're going to be using the IRTA2 2-channel electrical RTA. This will allow us to look at a signal coming directly from the source unit as opposed to one passing through the LC2i. We've level matched the two so that if we switch between them, there's minor differences so that we can actually have accurate representation of the volume as we're moving through the exam. Out of screen, we are using a radio that has loudness control built into it. This is important because the whole purpose of the LC2i is to fix what is commonly called bass roll off, which is a result of loudness rolling off from the factory radio, causing the signal to go flat. For your ears, that just means you're losing that impactful bass as the volume goes up. We're going to show you how that works. But the first thing we're going to look at is we're playing Pink Noise from the Educar Test and Tune app, and this is a representation of that. As we turn up the volume, we see the signal stays relatively flat all the way up. This is a great signal. If we have a signal like this in our source unit, then Accu is totally not necessary because there is no bass roll-off. Everything is playing exactly the way we want it, and now we can add our equalization on top of that, and it will stay linear as we move up and down. It won't change. It won't be dynamic, which is also another name for loudness, is dynamic EQ. Starting back at our lower levels, let's now add the loudness. And we can immediately see a change. We got a bass bump, we got a treble boost. This, in a car, makes it very pleasing to the ears to listen to because you're at a relatively low level, and it just added a bunch of characteristic to the music. For you and I, what we're looking at is about a 10 dB shift from the lowest point to the highest point. As the volume goes up, we're gonna see that start to fade away. And once we reach a certain level, as you notice, it goes back to flat. Because our ears now at this level perceive things differently. So the loudness is rolling off. Now, if you're a bass guy like myself and you just added a subwoofer, at this point you're going, dude, what the heck? Where did all my bass go? This is where Accu comes in. Now, if you'll notice over here, this little light is on. That means that Accu was triggered at some point. We're using these dials to do that. We've already set it up to where we figured out right around here is where we're losing all of that energy. It's starting to go away. We don't have that 10 dB gap anymore. It's maybe closer to 8. This is where we want our Accu to turn on. Now back at our starting point, we have that luscious bass. We have highs that are killing it. Let's turn on the Accu signal, and it looks identical. Nothing has changed. As we start to roll up the volume though, if you notice, there was an increase here, about 10 dB. You adjust that through your level. This knob here will dictate how much you want to add there. We've added a little bit extra because it makes it a little bit more visually pleasing for this demonstration, but it's not that far off. This is probably about 12 dB. If we switch back to our source, this is what it looks like. So this is what would be feeding your amplifier right now, as opposed to with Accu, we have that. So something to note about Accu is there's about a 10-second delay before it will actually turn off. That means if I roll the volume down real quick right now, Accu is going to stay with it. At 10-second mark, it's going to shut off and go away. But as I'm rolling it up, it's going to notice that voltage change right away and turn the Accu on, which now this means we've kept that bass output from our source unit as linear as possible, and we've negated bass roll off. Accu does that. So everything that has Accu in it made by Audio Control is designed to fix this. Epicenters don't do any of that. These are harmonic restoration devices that are made for music, not restoring a signal from a radio. What does that mean? If we go back and we look at this signal right here, this is what the Epicenter is going to see. And if the radio has loudness control, as we turn it down, the Epicenter is going to see this also. So the same problems are going to occur. But let's take a look at it. Let's pass the signal through this and see what the Epicenter looks like. We're going to start back at 0, meaning we're going to take a look at that signal again. The first signal here that we're playing is that no loudness, that perfect signal that we were hoping. As we turn it up, just like before, it looks really nice. This is about a moderate listening level. With my Epicenter, I can add in that effect. Sexy deep bass. This is adding an octave shift. I have 2 controls on the top here, along with the third control on the knob itself. This, on the knob, it adjusts effect. So as I turn that down, my effect will go away, and as I turn it up, my effect will come back. On the unit, I have width, which is how much of the center frequency that I've chosen is it going to affect. Do I want it a wide or do I want it narrow? And then I also have sweep. Sweep is the frequency. Right now it's set to a low sweep. If I turn it the other direction, you notice the signal starts to go that way. That would be a high sweep. A lot of the times the default setting on this, which is 12 o'clock on both, is the magic where it's going to happen at. We'll leave it at the 12 o'clock setting. So depending on the music I'm listening to, I add this effect in, and I get that nice, deep, luscious Epicenter sound. As I turn it down, you'll notice it moves linearly with the volume. It doesn't change. This boost is there all the time. So as we turn it up, go full crazy, that boost is still there. It's not diminishing. Now let's take a look at this with loudness on. Boost just got higher, as it should. There again, super cool bass, yeah! But just like before, as I turn this up and it gets to that point, this is all leveling out and that difference now is diminished. So if we go back, with the LC we were looking at a 10 dB. Now we're looking at 20 dBs of difference here. That's a lot. That's a lot of bass happening. You're right now super happy, but as I go up on the volume, we lose it and we go back to that 10 dB. So we've lost 10 dBs of volume. This is the difference between Accu and Epicenter. They're doing 2 totally different things. This would be more considered like an EQ band on this. The effect amount is staying the same no matter where I put this, whereas this is kicking on to fix a problem. The next question that Fernando asks is, well, can I use both? Meaning if I have a processor or an amplifier that has Accu in it, or an LC2I or an LC7I, can I stack them on top of one another? Let's take a look. We'll start out here down small and we'll switch to passing through the LC2I. What that means is our signal is coming into the LC2I, it's passing out of the LC2I going into an Epicenter. Whether that be the micro or the classic, still the same. The effects both work the same. We could turn down the Epicenter, looks normal. We turn up the Epicenter to get that cool big fat bass effect. And we're looking at about 20 dBs. Let me turn it down just a little because I'm going a little crazy on that one. 20 dBs of swing, which is cool. Start rolling up the volume. Ooh. The Accu turns on. And as we move up into the volume, we're keeping all of that boost, that bass roll off didn't happen, didn't change. We still have that 20 dBs of craziness going on. Whether you want it or not, it's happening. This is cool, right? This is what we wanted. What we've done now is we've fixed bass roll off and also kept our epicenter going the whole time. So whether we were at low volumes or high volumes, we've kept that epicenter effect happening. How cool is that? Back to the original question that was asked. If I have an LC2I or an amp or a processor that has Accu-Base, do I still need an epicenter? If you want the epicenter effect, Accu-Base doesn't do that. That is only epicenter. If I want to keep that base moving in the same linear fashion, mapping the way it should, and have my epicenter or just my base do that, Accu-Base is designed to fix that. But if you don't have Accu-Base and you have base roll off, your epicenter will suffer the same fate that the base does in your car now. It will roll off and go away, and you'll lose that intensity. Alright guys, I hope this answers that question for you. If it poses some new ones, go ahead and add them in the comments below, and hey, you never know, we might make a new video from it. That's all I got for you today. Fernando, if you please.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great day as always. We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye.